Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Mod Library. My name's Captain Shaq, host of the channel that supports the modding community, TheXPGamers. Now, today's mod library is all about Skyrim, and a while back I did the best of graphics mods for Skyrim. This is the best immersion mods, and there are a ton. This is probably actually going to be a multiple-parter, because I made this just huge list of my favorite immersion mods. Mods that just add a little bit more to the game, make you feel like you're in a real living world. So one of the things that bugged me in Skyrim is you could, if you wanted to, run around completing all these quests butt naked and not have to worry about anything. The cold doesn't actually affect you. You're in this harsh tundra where freezing to death should be, a problem. Diving into ice cold water should be an issue and kill you in minutes, but it doesn't. So that's what we're here to change. The mod is called Frostfall, and as you can see on the menu there, it says exposure has increased. And what happens is, as the weather changes, you start getting colder, and you've got to find a place to warm up. You can even drink a little alcohol to kind of temporarily reduce the effects. It does add so much to the game, and this mod is massive. It's probably one of the most impressive mods for Skyrim. It adds so much, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Alright, so you can freeze to death. That's the first biggest thing it adds, is weather matters. Watching the blizzard roll in, you have to think, oh no, I'm gonna freeze to death. I've gotta find warmth, I've gotta find cover, maybe set up camp or something. Alright, so this mod is compatible with SkyUI 3.0. It does have an MCM menu option. That means if you have these two mods installed, you can tweak the settings just by going under your options setting and then going down to Frostfall. Inside, it's got a guide that shows you everything you need to know, and it has a great feature called Wear. Now, you have to turn this on by default, and what it does is it'll actually make it so certain clothing options will give you a different level of cold protection. So I just activated it, it strips you down. I'm already sitting here in nothing but a loincloth. And then when you go to equip items, it'll give you different levels of protection. It also works with the different cloak mods that are out there. So if you've got winter is coming with the big giant fur cloaks, they'll actually keep you warm. Fur armor, obviously gonna keep you very warm. So to activate the mod after you install it, you just look up at the night sky. Right after it's installed, sit there and stare at the stars for a couple of seconds, and a message will pop up. Lost in thought, you reflect back on how much the wilds have taught you about yourself over the last several days. You recall a book you once lost, full of wisdom about survival in the open country. On a whim, you open your pack and find the Survival's Guide to Skyrim staring back up at you. Had it always been there, or thought alone summoned it? You push the thought aside, thumb through the pages, and carefully place it back, knowing that some things are never truly lost. Definitely one of the coolest ways to activate a mod. Even just, turning the mod on has an immersion factor to it. And the book itself is really well done. It's got a lot of lore and history into the game. It'll actually explain certain areas of the world. What's the climate like in the northern areas of Skyrim compared to, say, south, southeast, southwest. What's the difference? It explains the different gear and equipment that'll help you survive. And Frostfall really does add so much. It adds camping and cutting wood out in the woods. You can start fires, you can place a tent down, and we're gonna go into all those really cool functions right now. So as you guys can probably guess, this first part of immersion mods is really focused around Frostfall, because it's such a huge mod and it just changes how you see the world of Skyrim. So right here, I almost froze to death while playing. I was about to record this video and realized I had been out in the cold for so long, I'm freezing to death. And you can see the cold effect, the ice actually forming on you. And I ran up to this fireplace, and I'll start warming up. And I'll start actually playing animations, showing me warming my hands up. It's great, and it works with every fire pit, every heat source you think would work in the game. The author's actually gone in and made sure they all work with Frostfall. So you won't find yourself freezing to death standing next to, a campsite. So when you have the mod activated, you'll notice two new abilities: survival skills and weather sense. Now, weather sense is really simple. It just tells you how cold you are. Survival skills is where this mod does everything. What I just did there was try to harvest wood, because if you're gonna build a fire, you need wood. But there's no trees nearby. It'll actually check for trees in the area. So I switched over to another time when I was messing with this. I'm actually placing a fireplace using the same survival skill. So you'll set a ring of rocks down wherever you look. So I'm kind of messing with it now. Find a good place, hit E to build or cancel. It'll put down the ring, but without wood, you can't do anything. So if you've got a woodcutter's axe, which you can build using the survival skills menu, you can harvest wood. Now, if you don't have an axe, you can actually harvest dead wood. And it takes a lot more of it, and it doesn't burn for as long. But if you do have an axe and there are trees nearby, you will play this little animation of you collecting wood. Now, I try to keep a little bit of firewood on my horse, personally, because obviously you don't want to freeze to death like I'm about to in this video. Being prepared. So, I don't have enough wood. I had to collect some more. Takes, I think, 6 to get a fire going, which you can do pretty quickly, though if you're not prepped before a blizzard hits, you could be in trouble. So I got my fireplace there, and it'll start warming me up. But because I've got a bit of a snowstorm going here, I need more than just a fireplace to really begin to warm up and to protect myself from the elements. So if you go under craft items, there is a bunch of weapons and items you can make. You can make a walking stick that makes you move faster. You can build a stone hatchet to, chop more wood. A longbow. You really can play that survivalist type of gameplay. So if you want to play a real ranger who lives out in the woods, you can do that. You don't have to come into town for supplies. If you want to, you have to have pelts to make your blankets, your tents. I'm building a tanning rack here so I can show you what else you can make with this mod. But you can do all this. Hunting wolves and hunting deer actually matter because you want the pelts, so you can make this stuff. Alright. So I built the tanning rack. All you gotta do is drop it, which I just totally messed up. Alright, go in the options here. So you go to the item, and you just drop it like you normally would, and a menu will pop up. Place tanning rack, and it works just like the fire pit, allowing you to place it somewhere in the area. You can also tear it down. Kind of takes it a second for the shadow of the item to refresh. All right, so this looks like a good spot. Place tanning rack here. Now, with the tanning rack, you can make things like tents of different quality and different sizes. You can make clothing. You can make the fur that I'm wearing. You can make, of course, your bedrolls. You can make backpacks, which are really cool, and I'll show one of those a little bit later. So, all right, built a tent using just some leather. And there's the backpacks. And what's really cool about the backpacks is they actually identify what you have on you. So if you have a torch and, say, an axe, it'll actually show those items on the backpack in the rings. And if you don't have those items, they won't show up. Alright, so let's just walk on over here. Good place for a tent. Get it out of the snow. And different types of tents have different effects. A leather tent is really good against stopping rain from coming in, but not as well keeping the heat in. Whereas a fur tent will keep the heat in, but is terrible in the rain. Alright, that looks like a good place. I'm kind of in the fire pit, I think, a little bit, but... no, I think I'll be good. Okay. So the tent has a bunch of options also that I think if you're looking for immersion, definitely some really cool options. You can lie down, of course you can pack it up. You can turn the lantern on inside to give you some light. And when you lie down, it doesn't automatically make you sleep. I think this is a really neat option. Taking shelter, yeah, keeps you warm, it'll dry you off. Even if the fire goes out, you won't wake up frozen to death or anything like that. Alright, so now I'm laying in the tent and it automatically fades the side of the tent so you can see your character. You can toggle view so the tent comes back up, and you can just sleep like you normally would. So I had mentioned the backpack, and as you can see, my item's actually equipped, and I have kind of a busted axe, and the axes change how they look based on the damage they take and the more you use them. And I've got my torch there, and there's a couple other spots for a few more things. Definitely very cool addition, and it adds to your carry weight. So, getting out of Frostfall, a couple other quick mods that really go well with Frostfall are Total Realism Basic Needs by Manshooter. This one is a very simple idea, but it adds so much. It makes it so you have to eat and sleep and drink. Like you see here, I'm feeling hungry, my character is thirsty, and it has negative effects because I haven't had anything to eat or drink and haven't slept in a little while. So he's made it so all the food actually has a purpose. You have to plan your trips. That's what all of these mods do. They make you actually see the world in a different light. You've got to look at your map, and instead of saying, okay, it's going to take this long to get to a certain place, you actually have to say, well, it's a 3-day journey to Solitude. I need to plan for that. And it just makes you slow down and really enjoy the world. Now, he has added animations to everything you eat. So you bite into your bread, you'll pull your bread out. Drinking, you'll pull out your flask. Now, the last addition for Total Realism Basic Needs that he's added, which is still in the works, but definitely really cool, is the ability, once you drink your glass of water, or your bottle of water, you can head down to your local water source, as long as it's fresh water, and actually fill up the empty bottles. There's also one of these mods, same type of deal mod for Fallout that I use, called Bottled That Water. And it's just one more way of not having to go into town. You can go into town in the taverns and have them fill up all your empty bottles. Definitely pretty cool. So, another addition, and one that is, it's interesting. You can drink alcohol and it has an effect on you, and not just a stat effect. So let's see here, take a little bit of the mead, probably drink way too much to really show the effect. Yeah, definitely no longer thirsty, and you start to see the blurriness to the vision. Things aren't quite clear anymore, and the alcohol, because of Frostfall, makes me feel completely warm. It's a nice way of getting, to cover, to someplace to warm up. Now the character is drunk and he's tripping over himself if you try to run or sprint, and they mean it too, as you're gonna see here. You are drunk. Thank you. You can see the vision is just completely shot to hell. This is the bandit that tried to kill me, and yeah. Tripping over yourself drunk, and you can actually get that drunk. So, not something you probably want to do and be in combat at the same time. There's no drunken master abilities, at least none that I'm aware of in this game. But it's pretty, it occurs a lot. It's pretty hindering. Alright, so to configure basic needs, it actually adds a ability. It's not an MCM menu mod, sadly. Hopefully the mod author will upgrade it. But equip the ability Basic Needs Configuration and use it as if it was a spell, and it'll give you all the options to change how the needs progress. If you think you're getting thirsty too often, or you don't want to have to drink as often as you do, or maybe it's not hardcore enough for you. Same with food and everything else. They're all in here. You can change them by very small increments. You can change how often the messages pop up in the corner if you feel like you're being spammed. Turn off the animations. Pretty much anything this mod adds, you can change. Now, the last two mods that I'm going to talk about at the same time are Wet and Cold and Get Snowy. And Get Snowy is what you're seeing right now. You see the character breathing. You can actually see when it's really cold out, your character's breath. And you can, of course, head into the options and you can change what it does. It also, when it's snowing, it shows the frost on your character. It changes your Wet and Cold will actually change your vision when there's a major blizzard going on. It'll make your blurred vision. We had trouble getting it to work just because we couldn't get the blizzards to cooperate. It may be one of the other mods that we're currently using, but definitely a cool one to see the effects of the weather on your characters. So as you can see, the frost is actually on my character and my companion when you're in heavy snow. So definitely a cool mod visually to really wrap you in the setting. And with Frostfall, it really lets you know it's getting cold. I've got to get to a heat source. And one last part of wet and cold that I think is really cool, kind of hard to see in the video because it's such a small detail. If you jump in water, your character would normally just pop out dry and you wouldn't know the difference. But with this mod, you can actually see the drips of water falling off your cloak and your clothing. I don't know if you guys can really see in there. I'll try to zoom in for you, but you can see the drops of water and you dry off pretty quickly. So. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel or TGN for more modding goodness, and as always, thanks for watching.